We are live. Be Better Podcast, episode 6, I believe. Let me look. Yes, Be Better, episode 6. Solo this week. I've been podcasting for a little over 3 years now. I typically do them with always somebody else. My other podcast, Let's Get Stupid Podcast, is co-hosted with my buddy Tom Finn. It's easy, banters really well. We're able to talk really well. Or a lot of times on here, you'll hear me and Jacob.w.ross, just because it's easy for us to talk, and we come up with a lot of pretty good ideas in between the both of us. He's in Egypt and Dubai and all these other places doing some stuff for basketball. He's coming home today. Hopefully we'll be able to sneak another podcast in this week before we go to the Arnold. Me, Finn, Cam, all the guys that train with, friends with, we're all going to the Arnold this weekend. So we'll be out of town. We typically do these Friday nights before we train. But we're going to be leaving Friday, so we'll have to work something out. I opened this one up to a Q&A. Just wanted to get something out for the week. Little update. We had an ice storm here in Illinois. It was pretty bad. Everything was frozen. All the lines, power lines, that's what I work on for my day job, were frozen. So it was Wednesday through Monday morning was just fixing stuff and then watching it break again and then refixing it. So it was a long, we call it blood money. It was a long 4 or 5 days of overnight shifts and less sleep than usual, but it's okay. It's what I signed up for. But it makes it hard to do podcasts and the stuff I like to do outside of work when I don't have a choice but to be at work. So, but that's all calmed down. Everything's settled, and now able to give you a little bit of content to kind of get your week going here. So, one of my first questions pertains to lifting. This podcast is kind of about everything, right? It's be better. A lot of it stems from my lifting career, just because of the following and the fan base we have with training, and we do obviously Be Better coaching and training athletes. So the first one is the most impressive lift I've ever seen in person. I would have to say easily probably Dan Bell's squats. He did 1030 in my garage for a triple, I think, one day. And we went out the night before, hung out all night, went out, had pizza, drank beer, kind of hit the town because he was in town from Florida for the couple days and he was staying with me. Next day we wake up at 10 a.m. I don't know if he even ate breakfast, had a glass of water, and we trained, and he worked up to like 1,000 for a triple. He's done that. I think it was 10:05 for a triple at my old house. And then here, kind of same thing. He flew in the day after Christmas one year, and he came to my house. I think he crashed here, drinking, hanging out, celebrating, whatever. And the next day he did 1040 for a double, I believe. So that's always cool to see, especially in person, to be a part of, to always help Dan with these big numbers. We get a little desensitized to heavier weights a little bit, just because I've always trained with guys that's basically, I've always been around guys that squat 700 to 1,000 pounds. So when you start reaching over 1,000 pounds, it's pretty cool. It's really cool to see. You just don't see it very often, so that way it kind of snaps me out of it, like, oh shit, this is a really big deal. So watching Dan squat's probably one of the most impressive lifts I've ever seen, just in general. And we have another podcast that is a podcast about a review show of the Let's Get Stupid podcast called the C Team. And somebody wants to know what my favorite host of the C Team podcast is. I'm going to have to be honest. I think Fat Aaron. He's usually barely paying attention, but the stuff, like, he's always like working out or going through the drive-thru in it, which I think is hilarious. And he's got pretty good banter. The guy can talk. He's got the gift of gab, as we like to say. So he says a lot of funny things. He kind of cracks me up. And then a question for the pumped to meet everybody at the Arnold. Yeah, we're going to be at the Arnold. Me, Cam, Finn, Finn's crew. Jacob won't be able to make it. He's got to fly to Florida. Guys all over the place, but I'll be there hanging out at Finn's booth 204. So if you're listening and you're going to be around Saturday, I'll most likely be hanging out a lot around booth 204 with Finn and his crew and hanging out. So hope to see everybody there that I train, don't train, that listens to me, follows me, whatever. Hope to meet with a lot of you guys there. It used to be one of the best fitness conventions there was. It was a thing we always look forward to every year. COVID killed it for 2 years. Last year they brought it back. I heard it was like 60% of what it used to be. We're hoping this year it's more like 85, 90. And we're going to be there with the Huck Finn barbell booth, helping them sell some stuff and hang out and hopefully meet some new fans and meet some old fans, see some old friends again. Best tips for a first timer to powerlifting meet? Pretty simple. You just go have fun. You know, everybody, a lot of times in meets and competitions, people take stuff too seriously. It is serious, but it also, if you train this whole time and you're going to start doing powerlifting and you go to the meet and you overreach in your numbers and you start missing lifts, it's not that fun when you miss lifts. It's more fun when you make them. So even if you scaled yourself back a little bit for your first meet or first couple meets, you'd have more fun, because just because you might have like hit a 500-pound squat in the gym, grinded it out, barely got it, then went to the meet and expected like, well, I'm definitely getting 500. I've already done it at the gym. Not necessarily true. There's nerves. Never done a meet before. I suggest never cutting weight. So weight cutting should never be a factor. Never cut weight in your first meet, or really mainly any meet you do, unless it's for money or a world record. So the nerves you have to worry about, and then maybe your lifts weren't to proper depth, form. You maybe lock stuff out soft in the gym. A lot of factors that come in when you start actually lifting at meets. So I always kind of have people back off a little bit, open up really light, make it really easy. You can always take bigger jumps. I've done plenty of meets where I've opened up at 600 and I ended at 760 because I didn't know how my squats were going to go because of injuries. So open light, have a plan. Don't just go in there just willy-nilly. Have a plan of first, second, and thirds, how you feel, but be conservative. Because if you go 9 for 9, you're going to have a lot more fun than going 4 for 9. Or if you miss one lift in your squat, bench, or deadlift and you can't get one of your attempts, you bomb out. So you don't want to have one of your first meets or the first meet you ever do bombing out. So just have fun. Don't be the asshole that's there that's doesn't talk to anybody and then pushes everybody out of the way and takes one. Like, you're all there together. It's a very, very niche crowd is powerlifting. It might seem bigger than it is because that's all some people follow. It's really, really small. There's only X amount of people that even do it. You probably have 60 people at the meet if you're lucky. If it's a smaller meet, small town meet, it might be 30. So it's a small sport. You should all be supporting each other and just helping load plates for each other, helping, do warm-ups together, all that kind of stuff. It's a small sport. People should be supporting each other instead of, watch out, this is my meet, get out of my way. It's not fun. You usually see guys like me and Dan at meets where I'm like, that's the most fun we ever have. Like, hard work is done. Yeah, we have to perform, but we make sure it's still fun. If it's not fun, then what am I doing there? Have fun while you're there. It is a fun thing to do. How am I doing after those storms? Yeah, the storms are rough. It definitely took a toll on my training. I could tell this week. I thought last night I was lucky enough to have the day off after work, working all these storms from I think I came in Wednesday morning, did 16. Thursday I did 24, and then I rolled overnight 16s until Monday morning. So I thought Monday afternoon I'd be good to bench. Bench felt terrible. Everything moved bad. I got sick during storm, so I lost like 6 pounds. So it's just laundry list of excuses, right? But you can always say like, no excuses, train harder. No, there's no excuses. You got to like, yes and no. You can train. And I know I could train these yesterday, which I did. I benched in the morning or in the afternoon, and then I deadlifted at night. But when you're training heavy, when you're training in a meet prep, if things are off, if you get sick, if you lose weight, if you were working a bunch, like just how I was, you have to factor that in, right? I didn't really factor that in yesterday, and it showed. I missed my top set bench, and I missed my top set deadlift. And I know about how my strength is right now, and I should have been able to hit those numbers. Beat myself up a little bit for like 10 minutes, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I was working a bunch. I was sick. I lost 6 pounds, 7 pounds. I forget exactly how much it was. So you have to take those things into factor rather, when you're lifting heavier. Because if you're not have all these things optimized before you step into the gym, getting angry and gritting your teeth and huffing ammonia, is only going to get you so far. You might get up to 90%, but you're not going to be at that 100 if you don't take care of your sleep, your diet, and being healthy outside the gym. A lot of times people's factors of missing lifts is not necessarily their training. Sometimes their training is great, especially when you're new, where you can get away with a lot. You can get away with a lot less optimal training per se. But if you don't eat right and your sleep is garbage and you work long hours or you're stressed at home because of kids or wife, whatever, you're like, oh, you're going to take it out in the gym. That's a good theory. But if you also don't have those things lined up before you get to the gym, when you start training a heavier load, it's going to start to show that breakdown of everything outside of the gym. So that's what kind of in powerlifting is a little bit different, to where if I was just doing a chest workout like a bodybuilder, you can always kind of push through those. You can grit your teeth because you're tired or your lack of carbs, if you're close to a competition or a show rather for bodybuilding. But like when you're lifting heavy, you have to have a lot of eggs in a row a lot of the times. And sometimes you have to listen to your body. Like this week, I'll probably end up just deloading because my first 2 heavy days of training went to garbage immediately. So I know like, okay, hey, I'm not ready. I can probably work up to something heavy for my legs on this week, but I know I got about that 90%, and that other 10 where I need to push, I'm not there right now. But you just take that into effect with your training, and you just reevaluate for the next, because we got another 4 weeks of training before our meet in Texas. So it kind of just is what it is. You got to roll with the punches. But yeah, that weekend really, it kicked my ass. It was tough. What is something that strength sports has taught you that you carry over into everyday life? I think strength sports has taught me discipline, right? Because no matter what, I'll always train. So if I make something a priority, I'm able to get it done. So even if I'm like tired, like I said before, tired or beat up or whatever, I'll always make it into the gym. I might know that I'm not 100% Tom on a heavy compound movement, but I'm able to at least show up, right? And I think a lot of things in life in general is just showing up. I have a adopted 22-year-old daughter. It's my wife's youngest sister. We took her in when she was 16, 17, after some family events happened. And I always, it was not a tough position for me to be in because I was comfortable with doing what I had to do at the time. But I always tell her, like, try to like give her little life lessons, or like, this is how I think of things. And maybe she listens, maybe she doesn't. I think most of the time she does. But I tell her a lot of it. I go, a lot of things in life is just showing up. If you're, if it's a family event or a party, like if people see your face, the biggest thing you could do is show up to that party and show your face. They see your face, they're happy. They always remember that. You could text anybody happy birthday, but what in that case too, even a call. Like sometimes I'll just call people and tell them happy birthday just because it's what my grandpa used to do to me. So I always remembered that he always called me because I always remembered that because it was different. So if you're always a person that can show face, and have the discipline to go, maybe you don't want to go places. Maybe you're kind of a homebody. You don't want to leave the house all the time to go do something. Building the discipline that I've built inside the gym, knowing sometimes I don't want to step in the gym. Sometimes it's just punching that ticket. And I've started a dad bod challenge I usually do yearly, and I'll probably do it after this meet prep again, where it's just showing up every day. You can make time, and we're not going to the gym in these workouts and working for 2 hours in the gym every day, and you have to do it, and no excuses. Sometimes it's just a walk, right? It's showing up every day and building the discipline inside the gym to see if it'll carry outside the gym. So doing that, like I used to train at 4. I used to get up at 4 a.m. to go train bodybuilding style in a gym before I would go to high school. Like I've always been able to have that discipline to get up, get into the gym, get my shit done in the morning if I have to. So the rest of my day is a little bit easier and I'm not struggling to fit stuff in at the end of the day. And that's definitely, learning these lessons in the gym has definitely spilled over into my, day-to-day life of running around, trying to be everywhere to show face, and just trying to be the guy that's always every spot. You know what I mean? It's hard because we get busy, as everybody does. Kids, work, life, family balance, right? They always say work-life balance. Well, there really is no balance because your work wants 100%, your wife wants 100%, your kids want 100%, your friends want 100%, your side job wants 100%. Like everybody wants 100%. So it just depends what you can show up for, and when you're there, being 100%. Like I always kind of preach on Instagram about like kind of getting up early. I always try to beat my coffee maker up. It's kind of like my goal in the morning. If I can, because I set my coffee maker for 4 a.m. every day. So if I can get up by myself before, because I set my alarm for like 3:47. I'm a little weird like that. I don't set it for like standard times like most people do. I set it for 3:47. So if I can get to that alarm, get up the first time, roll out of bed, get some clothes on, get to the kitchen, and I can make the coffee before the coffee makes itself, to me that's a win, right? So it's discipline I've built to know that I could beat my coffee maker up and win for the day. And another lesson on top of that is what I learned from my buddy Charlie is if I get up within about an hour of my normal get up time, so if it's about 4 a.m. is my normal get up time, give or take, if it's 3:25 and the kid accidentally kicks me because she crawled in the bed in the middle of the night, we didn't realize it, or the dog steps on me or whatever. Or sometimes, like last week before the storm hit, I was just waking up at like 3:20, 3:30. And that's like 15, 30 minutes before I give up, give or take. I'll just get up. Because if you hit that alarm, it's so much harder to get back up when that alarm goes off. And typically you'll just keep hitting snooze. Even I will. So if I just get up within that hour of my alarm by myself, I just get up, I get a little bit more work done on the computer. Maybe I train a little bit longer in the morning if I have to. And my day gets started off right. Maybe I'm a little bit more tired, depending on how the day goes. But if I could win my mornings, my whole day's set up. If I sleep in, I would have woke up today at 5:30. I would have been pissed off, angry all day. I wouldn't have been able to do this. Wouldn't have been able to work on my computer. It really irks me. But having said that, I also don't enjoy getting up early. I'm not the most morning person in the world. I like my own time in the morning because with the kids and the wife, it's easier to have alone time in the morning just to get stuff done on my computer, podcast if I have to, train if I have to. But I wouldn't mind. I would much actually rather sleep in, pull the covers up, go sleep back with my wife, lay down with the kids who's next to me, whatever, if my kids crawl into bed, and just sleep more, right? Get some more rest. Basically every day I would prefer to do that, but I've built the discipline to get up when I probably don't want to. It's always easier to sleep in. So I like to win my mornings, and hopefully that could spill over for you guys as well, is trying to win the day, right? So if you could start out the day of just getting up, there's Mel Robbins wrote this book, like the 5-second rule. It's her big thing. She's been preaching for years. She has a lot of success from it. But one of the things like getting up in the morning is hard for people. But as soon as you hear that alarm go off, instead of just laying there, she's like, the trick is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. No ifs, ands, or buts. No turning over. No pulling the covers. Nothing. Just get up, get out of bed. Keep your phone out of arm's reach with the alarm on, the most annoying iPhone alarm you can think of, and get up. Sometimes I use that rule to get up. Sometimes I really don't need it. That rule really applies to a lot of other things in life, which is just having uncomfortable conversations, anxiety, a lot of those things that can be dealt with. Kind of a cheat code for it is like the 5-second rule, or some people use a 3-second rule. Just like 3, 2, 1, hey, I need to talk to you about something. Because the more we let that stuff build up inside of us, the more it can create anxiety for people. And then it's always on your mind all day. Hey, I got to talk to this person about something. Like in my job at work, I have a couple extra roles, and I have to talk to a lot of people. A lot of time I have to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations with people. A lot. It seems like almost every week I have to have uncomfortable conversations with grown adults. And it's just like sometimes you just don't want to do it. You're just like, I just want to do my job. But I sign up for more jobs now. So it's like that 5-second rule can also help. Like, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, we got to talk about this. Or, hey, did this actually happen? Yada, yada, yada. Just letting that stuff build up inside you and not getting things off your chest or talking things through about somebody, you're just going to think about it all day. It's going to bug you all day. It's going to be the back of your head. You need to be focused at your job, what you're doing normally, right? If I'm unfocused, people could die. I could die. We had guys blow their arms off before in a matter of a split second. So being focused at what you're doing, alleviating that anxiety, can a lot come from that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule. Last question here. Days where you work your butt off, got family things and other stuff, how do you fit the gym in? So right now I'm on I wouldn't say an easier training schedule, but I train 4 to 5 days a week. I was doing like 9 workouts a week because I saw a guy at work I haven't seen in a long time. And he's like, he's like, oh, you stopped working out? And I go, oh yeah, just, barely, kind of joking around. And he goes, oh yeah, I thought so. And he was serious. And I go, oh man, I don't look like I work out. So it's something kind of snapped in my head. So for about 3 months, I was doing like 9 workouts a week. I was doing 2-a-days and then an extra thing here and there on some of the workout. It was a lot, but I needed it just to build that discipline again and get myself back in the gym more. With meet prep, it's more about recovery as opposed to breaking stuff down all the time, because I need to be able to recover to heavy bench, do heavy legs. So I usually train 4 to 5 days a week. And, like I said, everybody wants 100%. Gym wants 100%. I'll have to fit it in the mornings if I have to. I typically always train 2 nights on during the week with my buddies. And that's been pretty consistent for a while. It's always like Friday night squats and typically Tuesday night deadlifts. We've always been able to get that in with family work. It's been pretty consistent. The other days, Mondays, the Thursdays where I train my upper, those can move if I have to. It just depends on your schedule. And I could sit here and say I do this because of this and if I have this. But it goes back to, if you have the discipline to do something, you'll do it. And I'm not setting goals. I don't have the goal to train 4 days a week. My standard is 4 days a week, because you don't always achieve your goals, but you always achieve your standards, right? So if you could set your standards higher or set your standards to a different place they were before, you're much, much, much more likely to achieve them. So like another new standard for me outside the gym, I'm going to read a book a month. That was my New Year's resolution. People say, I've seen t-shirts say, fuck the resolution, fuck inspiration, all that stuff. I don't really understand those. I think New Year's resolutions are good. I think it gives people new goals to reach for, or turning their goals into standards. So at first my goal was to read a book a month. But now I've done it for 2 months. It's my new standard. It's not a goal of mine. Like, I really hope I can do this month, because that's what goals turn into. They turn off, I really hope I can do this. No. This is what I'm going to do. This is my standard now. I'm going to read a book a month. I'm going to train 4 days a week. I'm going to go on my date with my wife once a week. That is my standard. It's not a goal. It's very, very different. My goal is to lose 10 pounds. No, my standard is I'm losing a pound a week for 10 weeks. Very simple. If you can kind of make that change in your mind about goals and standards, you're going to get a lot farther in life, and all these things you want to do, you will be doing, because your new standard is to do X, Y, and Z. Your new standard is to get into the gym 4 days a week. If you can set those, you have other standards in your life. But if you don't bring your new goals, new visions up to those, you might not ever do them. You might do them. Maybe you're really good goal-oriented. But I found that you don't always get your goals, but you always get your standards. So that's helped me a lot, just moving that up just mentally in my head, because a lot of this year has been for me is, not to sound redundant, but to be better. So how do I be better myself? That was a great sentence. How do I improve myself? How do I make things better? How do I be a better dad? How do I be a better husband? How do I be a better friend? How do I be better in the gym? How do I help more people? That's kind of what I'm trying to do here with this podcast specifically. It's like a big improvement year for me. That's why I do like resolutions. I think they work because it's working for me. And my new standard, right? My new standard is to help people. My new standard is to get this second podcast that I've started up every week to see if it helps one person. Maybe 10 people hear this and they change their goals, their standards. that's my mantra for the year. Maybe it's my mantra for my life. I don't know. I think I've lived life in fast forward, and I think I've done things, some things that most 30-year-olds haven't done by the time they're 30, obviously. So with some of the knowledge and experience, I don't know, I'm not 60 years old. I don't have a ton of knowledge and experience, but I have I think more than most would typically have, because I've had to do more uncomfortable shit at a younger age. And like I said, I've lived life in fast forward. And I think with learning these things, I can help people and have them learn from me, as opposed to have them try to learn from themselves or kind of fumble things around and, learn from my mistakes. I've always said that, a smart person will learn from their own mistakes, but a wise person learns from someone else's mistakes. So that's kind of been my whole goal this year, is like, hey, this is what I've done, this is what I messed up, this is what I'm doing now. I think, you should question everything. Why are you the way that you are? That's a question that struck me at the end of last year, and I never really thought about it. It's just trying to improve yourself, and you're not always right. And why'd you react this way? And I don't know. I've been questioning everything I've been doing now, and I'm trying to deep dive into it to see, why am I the way I am, and what can I improve? And if I can improve myself, what lessons while I'm in this process and this journey, which is probably going to be forever, right? We're probably never going to get there. We're always chasing that better person. At least I am. But during this journey, who can I help learn what I'm learning? I'm taking steps outside of, just talking on here and just questioning things, but talking to other people about these issues and thinking about more things and getting more knowledge on why is, if this, then that. Okay, how did that make you feel? What if this was an issue for you? What did you do about it? Is that the best reaction? Could you have reacted different? So having these types of uncomfortable conversations almost brings a lot more knowledge and awareness to my own self. So hopefully with this journey, I can help a lot more people do that, and help, you guys listening, watching, will become a better person, right? That's the company. That's the mantra. Be better. It's not, it's not only just training. Right now we're heavily focused on training as a company, because that's what we came from with Smart Strength. It's going to be a lot more stuff this year. We're going to open up the doors to. We're doing more stuff with apparel. We got these hoodies, obviously. We're going to kind of do like a little bit of a remake on these, working with the girl who does my printing. She's added some cool stuff to them. We're going to come out with more t-shirts, different stuff, try to mix it up. So if you like what you see, you enjoy my banter, my talks, if you like what the company stands for, I please ask you just go to BeBetterOfficial.com. Check out the apparel, check out the coaching, and support us in our journey. We don't have any sponsors for the show. The stuff, luckily, I got from my other show, so I can use it. We're rebuilding the studio. These old kind of gross chairs are going to be replaced. It's going to be a lot better setup here in a couple months. I'm still doing drywall, still fixing things up. Once all that's done, then I can start replacing furniture and stuff. But so if you like what you see, check out the apparel, check out the website, check out the training. There's some awesome training there. Great trainers, good people. And we're going to continue to push content and continue to try to help people better their lives. This is episode 6. I'm Tom Kallas. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Be better.